Alrighty then. Welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate and Stuff, where we delve into the daily happenings of real estate and the stuff part. Today we are super stoked to bring you the man, the myth, the legend, Ellis, who hails from an even more legendary company making waves in the real estate industry. You've guessed it. That would be none other than PadSplit. Now, listen. Ellis hails from the Bay Area, but he crushed it opening up their division in Arizona, and him and his team currently have 1,000. Yeah, I didn't mess that up. That's 1,000 PadSplit units. They're absolutely destroying that Arizona market for the PadSplit company, and we are super pumped to have them on the air today to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the details of what's going on with PadSplit, because everyone's talking about it. People are getting into it, and we all have an opinion about it. So, Ellis, thank you very much for hopping on the call today.
Yeah, gotta say, that was the best intro I've had for a podcast, hands down.
Well, I try to set a high bar. I do. We got to make up. We got to make up for the rest of the bullshit that's happening on this podcast. We like to hit it strong.
Start strong, then drift off.
Yeah. Got to capture their attention in the beginning. Oh man, no, super awesome. Glad Carlos and you guys could connect and make this happen. Carlos, as always, bringing on top quality guests for the show.
Well, BP and John know, and loyal listeners of the show. PadSplits came up a time or two.
It has.
It's came up a time or two at real estate events, even down here in South Florida. There's a lot of people that talk about utilizing PadSplit, co-living, rentals. So it's came up a bit. What do you think has led you guys to such growth? Because a relatively newer company.
Yeah, newer. We started in 2018 in Atlanta. During COVID, we kind of just went full remote to kind of just, go with that. But I mean, nationwide, we just crossed 20,000 rooms in the 22-ish cities that we're in. We're just in the right space, and that space is affordable housing. That's a hot topic right now. And there's just a need here in Arizona. The state is exploding in terms of growth and development. Wages aren't catching up. The essential workers, they're getting priced out of living, on their own in their own studios or one bedrooms. And that really nice alternative, all-inclusive, fully furnished option is a PadSplit room.
PadSplit what?
Room.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, maybe we should just, in case somebody logs on and we're talking about PadSplit because we know what it is. Could you describe what PadSplit means to you? Like, what's the epitome of it to your guys' kind of vision as you go out there?
It's affordable. Yeah, it's affordable, but what makes it unique other than a typical rental?
Yes. Yeah. So we are PadSplit as a company. We are a tech platform, very much like Airbnb. We've essentially created the rent by room, co-living, shared housing, property management software out there. So on top of that, we're a two-sided marketplace. We allow investors who have their properties that have converted to PadSplits to list on our website. On that same website, renters will go there to book rooms, very much like Airbnb. And in most cases, a PadSplit is a single-family property whose common areas have been converted to more rooms to maximize the cash flow potential of their properties. And then on our platform, we'll find everybody to move in. We'll do background checks, income checks. Once they're approved, we send out agreements, move-in instructions, lock codes through our software, and then we'll handle all the collections on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So we kind of take away half, or maybe however you want to count it, half or 75% of the traditional property management function out there through our tech. I tell investors all the time, we're kind of like also the tech-enabled capitalistic version of Section 8.
Okay, that's really interesting. Do you guys handle, like, if there's a problem with the property, the AC goes out, anything like plumbing issues?
No, so we don't, very much like Airbnb, we don't actually touch the property, but we've created this thing called a vendor network in each of the markets that we're in. This includes on-the-ground local experts, realtors, wholesalers to help acquire properties, general contractors for the renovation side of things, vendors to help with the furnishing side of things, property managers to help manage once you go live. So yeah, that's a good segue. We don't handle day-to-day communications with the members living there, and we don't handle the vendor management, the vendors that service the property. So, handymen, cleaners, landscapers.
But is rent coming through your platform?
It is. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. We can do all
Okay. So how many states are you guys in now?
Ooh, states. I don't know exactly. We're in 22 different cities. Let me actually pull this up. We're in California. We just launched in Los Angeles in January. We're in Vegas, Arizona. We just launched in Denver. We're in the 4 big cities in Texas. We're in New Orleans, Florida, Georgia, Raleigh, Durham. What's the third one? Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte. That's North Carolina.
Yep.
We're in DC, Philly. So probably about 10 to 15 states.
Okay. So if I have a property in upstate Maine, can I list it on your platform, or is there a specific reason you're only in certain spots?
Yes, good question. So we have 2 concepts called core markets and emerging markets. A core market is a market where we'll provide full marketing support for the hosts. So if you were to list in Maine, which is an emerging market, you can still list the property on our website. We wouldn't do the marketing on your behalf. So for you to be successful, you would have to post on sites like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, Roomies.com, Roomster.com, gather those leads initially. From there, you can send it back to us for us to screen and qualify. The other thing with the emerging markets is if you run into any issues with the city, our legal team won't help you.
Got it. So, okay. So it's best to be in a core market.
Yes, I would agree.
What are the rules and regulations that you guys are finding with people that are interested in PadSplitting and you're in these core markets? Do you have to watch out for regulations and with properties?
Yeah. I mean, from step 1, permitting is a big one. We definitely recommend all of our investors get permitted for their properties. On top of that, in all the cities that we're in, there's a maximum number of unrelated occupants allowed in a single family property. That number varies depending on the city. Here locally in Arizona, in Tempe, it's 3, which is crazy because for sure there's a bunch of student housing that's going up and operating currently. But in our structure, you as a host would create an LLC for the property. That LLC would rent the property out to PadSplit's LLC, and legally speaking, an LLC is considered one person, one entity. So you're renting it out technically to one person, one entity. But on top of that, anybody who moves in is considered a member of the LLC that we create, and they're signing the same membership agreement. So under this structure, they're all related.
Interesting workaround. That's kind of
sneaky legal magic happening there.
That's super interesting. All right. I've asked a lot of questions. What do you got, Carlos? BP.
BP, what do you got? You had your lawyer face on there for a second when he was describing the trusts and renting out to an individual trust. What I was thinking of, and probably some listeners are like, just from a business model, how are you guys making revenue?
Yeah, so we take the first 10 days of rent from each person we help you find. Think of it as a one-time upfront leasing fee. And then starting on the 11th day of everybody's occupancy, we'll take 8% for as long as they live in the property.
10% one time and then 8% lifetime?
10 days in full of rent.
Or I'm sorry, 10 days one time and then 8% lifetime.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then everything else leading up to that is kind of like a free consultation service. So we only get paid once we help the investors collect their money.
Interesting. And I saw the way that we came across this is I saw we obviously mentioned that we've known PadSplit for a long time, but I saw Ellis at an event in St. Louis, and even the graphic behind you where it had like standard single family rent of a house versus PadSplit. It was like crazy. If I'm remembering correctly, I want to say there was something for like $3,000 or something for a typical rental, and then with PadSplit it was like $7,500.
Yeah,
those numbers aren't bad. 10%, the first 10 days of gross rent, I'm assuming that they're getting plus 8%.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's profitable for you guys, obviously.
Yeah, definitely profitable for us, profitable for the investors, and I mean from the renter side, there it's a high value proposition because everything's included in the rent that they pay. Right now in Arizona, they're averaging. This includes private bathrooms, probably excluding the private bathrooms. They're probably averaging like $850 a month for rent. This includes the room itself, the furniture, all the utilities, including Wi-Fi, cleaning of the common areas at least once a month. No deposit, no credit check either.
So a couple things. So where I first ran in, so long before PadSplit was like a nomenclature in our industry, right? Like student housing was like the main room sharing type of thing, and a couple of things with like, and I always relate it back to that. Housing is a little bit different because most of the time the students pick their own roommates. You come in, you select, and you're able to pick girls or guys that live in your home or apartment or whatever it is. And then on the other one, but typically, like my daughter's in college right now, and she went through that, right? Like where she was placed with people, but none of them liked each other. And now the sophomore year, they're all trying to find people that they can go together with, right? Like, okay, like we suffered for a year of living with all these different personalities. Let me go find the roommate, or plural roommates, I want to be with. Do you guys track? I was going to use the word churn, or like how often people stay. Like, are people staying in the same thing? I guess it's hard because if you have a house of like 4 people, maybe 2 leave and 2 stay, maybe that's not so bad. But like, how often do people churn?
They're averaging, at least here in Arizona, about 7 months. I think portfolio-wide is probably around that 7-8 months. But we've had people that stayed, here in Arizona, a year, more than a year. So the big thing that influences their tenure is their experience in the property. If they have a bad experience, usually this comes from the
roommates. It's got to be roommates.
Yeah, the landlord or the manager not controlling the roommate conflict situation. If that's if that's not controlled, they're going to have a terrible experience. They're probably going to move out very quickly. If that's controlled and the room rates are competitive, and the property manager or the landlord is managing the property closely in terms of maintenance and all that, barring any life change or job change, they're probably going to stay long term.
I get that. Yeah, but why not just find your own fucking roommate?
Yeah,
you can. Why do I need PadSplit? Like back before technology, right? Like when we were all young, I don't know. You look at me, I'm old as shit. But,
how old are you?
When you wanted a roommate, you had to you went into work or you got your friends and you were like, hey, let's all room together.
Yeah.
You didn't have tech to do it, but we got the same pricing, right? Like you rent a 3-bedroom house or apartment or whatever it is. Everyone gets a room.
Sure.
Do you think this is just the way, because the world's so different with tech and people are now so even though we're connected, we're so disconnected from people that we can't just go and get roommates with our friends. We have to rely on this tech conglomerate to put together roommates for us. What happened? You know what I mean? It's weird how that has worked.
There's probably a little bit of that. We just treated the system behind it, the infrastructure. So if you have a group of, the 4 of us find a property to rent, one of us is usually like the master tenant. We have to kind of collect rent from the other people potentially, and we're the one that signs the lease and we're liable. So with our tech and our setup, and it's mostly strangers living in the same property together. If you have a group of friends, it would probably be better for you to do this off the platform potentially. Unless, because you can usually probably, get a better deal on the property. You just rent the whole property out and then you divvy it up with your friends.
That way.
So that would probably be the more economical way if you have a group already.
So there really is an avatar then. The real avatar is friendless, disconnected people.
Yes.
So hey, anybody out there listening, if you're in a PadSplit, life sucks to be you, right? I'm sorry you have no friends or family that you can live with. What about, so I get your room rates are high, right? But I'm assuming, and you didn't say this, I made this assumption that if I'm the landlord, I'm paying all the water, the electric, the internet. So that way I'm not trying to force strangers divvy up those bills, right? That's included.
Exactly. It's all included. Yeah. And that's the great value proposition of being a renter. Everything's ready for you.
See that.
Yeah, I mean, you apply and get approved within 48 hours. You pack a couple of bags and move into your new place. That could be, a medium to long-term housing situation for you. You don't need to deal with setting up utilities and waiting for the Wi-Fi, internet people to come.
Yeah, you just go right in.
You just go right in, and barrier to entry is low too because there's no deposit and no credit check.
No shit.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. So, what's the lease length?
2 options from the renter side. Default is 12 weeks at a minimum.
Okay.
After that, they go week to week, or they can pay a one-time flexibility fee, and that allows them to go week to week after a 31-day commitment. But like we discussed, they're averaging about 7 to 8 months nationwide.
Okay.
Interesting. Why not make longer leases?
Yeah. I think I mean, if it was up to me, I would probably try to introduce something like that. This is the 4th co-living company I've worked for. The previous 3 had a default 12-month option, and then from there, as it went down to like the 6-month commitment, 3-month commitment, there was a premium attached.
It's the clientele, man. I mean, it's this avatar. Like it's like, do you those weekly? We have them here in like Central Florida. Like there's the weekly motel studio style renters. You know what I mean? Those people, they're transient. They're servers. They're working hourly wages, and they're literally going. They're paying more than they would pay if they just rented like by a month or something. But they're willing to do it also because of their paychecks. They get paid weekly or something, and they're trying to do that now.
Yep, exactly right.
So my PadSplitty, my tenant or whatever you want to call them, they're paying PadSplit weekly.
Yeah, they're paying PadSplit weekly. They can select.
You pay me weekly?
Say that again.
So they pay you weekly. Do you pay me weekly?
Oh no, we take from them weekly or bi-weekly, depending on how frequently they want to pay. They choose the exact day. They can essentially schedule the auto pay to go out.
Oh, they get to pick the day.
Yeah. So they know their finances better, right? And they're these renters are hourly workers, and they don't get paid on the traditional, here. So we collect weekly or bi-weekly, and then we pay you out once a month.
Listen, I'm not a big fan of PadSplit, obviously, but that is a huge benefit to your customer. I mean, in the mobile home park space, and I don't do that. Like, I get people, I get paid on this day, and maybe I'll work a payment arrangement or something, but I'm not allowing them to pick a weekly demographic. They're so tight on their money and the way they get paid. You're right. They know their finances, and it's like, can I please pay you this week, and this week? We typically will turn them down because, one, we're not built that way. That would mess up all of our processes. And if we do it for one person, word spreads in a park. Next thing you know, I got 20 other people trying to pay weekly, and it's just going to jack our systems. It's a huge benefit.
It is. Yeah, and we've systematized it. So we have an in-house collections team. I don't know, by this point, probably have 20 people in-house whose sole job is to collect. Anytime a member, and that's the renter in our model, has a balance of $300 or more, that triggers the collections process. Anybody who carries a balance of $300 or more, their membership is on the line, essentially. So if they move out with a balance of $300 or more, they're not allowed to rebook another room unless they pay that down. And so they're essentially banned from our platform, which is affordable housing, and based solely off of that, they're incentivized to pay on time.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've got the whole platform behind you to say, and I'm assuming some people might travel for work, and they might be going from city to city. Thinking if they leave this one, they'll go get another, because that's what tenants do, right? Like, they'll skip out on me and leave me with $1,000 bill. I got to file an eviction. I'm never going to collect it. By the time I file the eviction, they've already found another place that doesn't know that they're being evicted. So boom, they move into that one. But with PadSplit, it's like, you're like Sauron. You're the all-seeing eye. You're like, I know you did this.
Funny you said that. I just rewatched Lord of the Rings this week with my wife. Yeah. But on top of that, they carry with them a member rating. So if they're looking to book another PadSplit room, then the newer host will see their history with PadSplit. So if they have some bad ratings, they'll kind of, the host will kind of pry a little bit and see what's going on. So the bad apples, so to speak, they tend to get, if not officially banned, they're not accepted by the new hosts.
Yeah.
So the host gets the ability to choose whoever stays in their PadSplit.
Yeah. So hosts will have the option to turn off auto approve in their settings. They'll have 24 hours to further vet the incoming applicant. In that time, they can either approve or deny them.
Okay.
So,
all right.
John's got something
all right.
good.
I just want to talk money for the investor, because we're kind of talking a little bit about the investor. So you said $850 is the standard for a room. What's the average number of rooms per PadSplit, and therefore what's the income? Like how is this better than doing single family rental?
Oh yeah.
As an investor.
And this ties to my next question too. This is good.
Okay. So simple math. Our model utilizes economies of scale. So right now in Arizona, I'm seeing usually people get properties around 2,000 square feet plus. That allows you to get 7 to 8 rooms after you convert the common areas to more rooms. $850 a pop at 8 rooms. Let's do some math. We're looking at $6,800 for a single family property. That same property with its 3-2-4-2 setup can probably get you, I don't know,
2,500.
So right off the bat,
a significant increase.
2.5x increase. So even with the increased fees and operating costs in our model, because you are paying for utilities and cleaning, there's still enough room for you to make some money.
What are you paying? A couple $100, $100, maybe $500, $600 a month, and all said and done. Water, utility, electric, trash. So you go from 68. Let's just round down and just say $6,000. You're $6,000. Still significant from 2,500.
What's the vacancy rate? And I don't know if that's the term that you guys would use, but that's what BP uses in his mobile home parks. But if I have 8 rooms in my PadSplit in Arizona, what's the chance that all of them will be rented at the same time?
Yeah. So right now, out of the 1,000 rooms we have, 90% are occupied.
That's pretty good.
This dropped in the last few weeks because we got a bunch of supply online. Just a few weeks ago, we were at like 900 rooms, 950 rooms, and it was 94% occupied.
So that's pretty typical for affordable housing. So like mobile home parks, long-term affordable housing options, usually around that 95. Multifamily is going to be anywhere from 85 to 90% on a typical basis. Mm-hmm. So they're right in line. It's the affordable housing industry, John. It's like there's nowhere else for them to go. It's like if I don't know how to say it without being like, a downer on them, but like,
dude,
this is the end of the road for them. They have no options. They have essentially failed at every other option in life to be able to support themselves, and they're down renting weekly hotels, mobile homes, RVs, room shares, whatever it is. Like, this is it for them. And if they mess this up, if they mess up PadSplit, they're getting blacklisted across the entire nation, it sounds like. So, like, what else do? They have to pay. They have to stay.
Yeah.
I mean, like average age of your renter?
Yeah, median age.
Hang on. I was going to guess 20s. I was going to guess 20s.
No, 35.
35?
Yes. So it's a lot older than what people think. So
I would have never guessed that, ever.
Yeah, we're targeting like the typical minimum wage earner or close to it. They make what they make. It doesn't necessarily mean they're bad people. They're just priced out of traditional housing.
They shouldn't be with what they're paying you, bro. They shouldn't be paying you $850 for a freaking room. I get it. We're all in the affordable housing industry, but at the same point, like, it sucks that you're paying $850 for an effing room and you can't even afford. Like, that should be affordable for an apartment or like your own dwelling of some sort. It really should be.
I agree. Times have changed for everybody. I mean, you can't even support a family on a single income anymore. I mean, it all trickles down, right?
But you're not checking credit, so let's forget about income.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to bring that up. Like, so for me, my rents, right? I got 800, 950. My mobiles, it all varies. With smaller ones, maybe 750. So yeah, you can afford me, but I do what you don't, and I check your credit. Like, so today we had one. It was going to be 905. She was going to move in. Sounded great on the phone. Shit, we ran her credit and like all of her background. Like, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, and we're not approving her. But like, she'd be perfect for you, but she would only get a room But with me, with her credit in check and everything, like I can't give her the whole unit because it violates our policy, but your policy accepts her. So it's like, it's really the end of the line type of thing. And it sucks that it's that way, but it's not just income. I think a lot of it has to do with credit. I guess it's a long way of saying, I think your flexibility and credit has a lot to do with it as well. People really need that.
Oh, yeah. The whole subset of tenants would be challenging getting in there.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Flexibility with credit and also just general barrier to entry too, because there's no deposit. In the traditional world, paying first month's rent, last month's rent, and security deposit. So average price for a studio, let's call it $1,500. You're paying close to $5,000. A lot of people have that liquid, not including furniture, moving costs, utilities.
True. I'm $1,800 to move in at my one park in Georgia, south of Atlanta. $1,800. You know how many people, when I say that, immediately disqualifies them?
Yeah, that's what.
Well, can I pay you? Can I do like a payment plan to pay that? My answer: you have to have it to move in. Again, higher barrier to entry.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And like, is there any kind of data on like how the rooms are treated? Is like turnover, easy enough that you can get another renter in there quickly? I mean, do people care about the room that they're in for $850?
Yeah, I'd say the vast majority of the rooms just need a simple cleaning after the person moves out. We had some situations, but that's with any rental strategy that you use. I think because of the fact that the furniture is provided and other people are leaving the property, there's some human element to where they know that if they cause issues, they're gonna be the target of everybody else, at least in their eyes and ears. Yeah, so there's that aspect of it. I mean, it's kind of similar to Airbnb, where people move in on that platform without being credit checked, and there's no deposit either. And in most cases, it is okay. And even
you're always going to have your bad apples, though.
You're always going to have your bad apples. But the nice thing about PadSplit is there's definitely no a group of 20 people coming in for the weekend and partying in that property. That happens a lot with Airbnb. There's actually no guests allowed in PadSplit. So kind of going back to Brandon's joke about no friends and
over, like whatever, when they're doing, right? Like that's a guest, like, so dudes, girls, whatever, like you can't bring us.
Technically, no. Yeah. So if we find out, we can actually impose a small fine for that violation.
So if my roomie snitch on me for like bringing someone back, like I'm.
Yep. Yeah, because I mean,
you gotta be friends with the people you live with.
Yeah, that just opens up a can of worms, because if there's 8 people living there, they all bring their significant others. Like
you got 16
bathrooms, the resources are going to get strained.
Yeah. It makes more sense. I didn't know that. I guess I didn't fully understand.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have definitely structured it in a way that makes sense. Now, here's the thing, though. Let's say, I don't know, whatever a bad reason is, whether it's payment, you violate a rule, how hard is it to get you out?
Yeah, I mean, the host can issue a notice to vacate at any point in their account.
But what if they don't leave?
Yes, if they don't leave, depending on why they want them to leave, they can loop in PadSplit support, and we, depending on the reason, will grant or deny the membership termination request. If it's, they're being violent to their roommates, or they're, doing drugs or something crazy in the house, we'll usually grant it. Based off of what they signed, they should move out within 48 hours. But like you said, there are some bad apples, and depending on how long somebody stayed, they'll have established tenancy in the property. At that point, the host will have to go through the formal eviction process. Out of the 20,000 rooms, our evictions rate, you want to guess?
Ooh,
2%. The way you worded it makes it sound really low.
Yeah, under 2, it's 1.2%.
Wow.
Because I'm assuming 2 parts. One, money wise, they're in there and they sign this agreement, right? Like 48, or their membership, 48 hours, I'm out. So I think that's one, right? They know the agreement they signed. But 2, getting banned from PadSplit. So that's kind of how Section 8 kind of works too. Like obviously it backed on me in this latest year. Typically when we have a bad Section 8, they'll leave, because if I file legal action against them, then that's it. They get banned.
They lose their voucher.
They lose their voucher. Now, I can ask you to leave, whatever, and you go. You can be a bad tenant, and I ask you to leave, you get to keep your voucher. Section 8 doesn't care. But if I go legal action, and I tell Section 8, that's it. The moment that's it, you lose your. And this lady's okay losing her voucher. Apparently, she's holding over. She's just like locked herself in this freaking mobile and refusing to leave.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Like I didn't realize how much the platform, the way it's structured, like why you get in and how you get in, really does make it a different perspective than what I thought PadSplit was. Like knowing next to nothing, right?
Yeah.
It's really intriguing. Do you guys, how do you educate on that to people? Because I'm assuming the sentiment, people, like, I would imagine a lot of investors out there that, you know, haven't heard what we've heard here so far are probably like, why on earth would I do that? That sounds like a disaster. It sounds like my house is going to get wrecked. Sounds like I'm never going to get paid. Like, why would I?
Yeah, I mean, I just talk to them, educate them. We have in PadSplit a sales structure to where we have SDRs, sales development reps. They place calls onto my calendar, so I talk one-on-one with investors on Google Meet. I go out and do real estate networking events, meet people. I have partnerships
to convince me to turn my house into pad. Okay.
Yeah, to educate you, let's say.
Like the event that we were at, the event we were at, Ellis, the Rubicon, was it wasn't honestly a huge fit for us, for Carrot, as a company with the websites, because a lot of those people are just getting 1 or 2 rental properties a year. They're working with agents, making offers on MLS. They're not really like direct to seller marketing like a lot of our customers are that are like wholesalers or off-market investors. So for you, I felt like that was a perfect event for you guys. I'm curious to hear how you did as far as just like from a business, like return on investment sponsoring an event, because
it wasn't very successful, to be frank. I don't know why. I've connected with a few people, but as far as next steps, nothing's really taken off.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a fluke, but usually these gather quite a few leads. I was at a local mastermind here a couple of weeks ago, invite only. There was only 40 people or so there, but the traction from there was amazing. So I got another podcast there, actually just created 2 opportunities for 2 properties today from some referrals. So even if from these conferences, there's no direct opportunities from there, getting the word out and just spreading the knowledge on PadSplit usually leads to some referrals down the line.
Yeah, it's hard to attribute that with anything that you're doing branding or going to events and stuff like that. For us, for sure. I have a few bullet points here for the group. So first one, Ellis, you're talking with 3 guys that are all in Florida. The Senate recently passed, I guess, a bill or regulation that allows ADUs, people to put ADUs on the back of their property. BB, I can't remember if you mentioned that recently.
Wait.
The Senate at that like a week and a half ago. I saw Adam Whitney post about it.
Is it my man Trump made that happen?
I don't know if it was
John's
boy. Yes. I don't know if it was John's boy Trump. It was the Florida Senate. They passed a bill.
Oh, just in Florida.
Just in Florida. Yep.
Okay.
Because and we think that's because inventory has been growing and stuff is just sitting on the market longer. But I'm curious. I don't know if it has like a direct effect on PadSplit or even if it's going to help the inventory. But I thought it was interesting, Adam Whitney posting about it, where it's like, hey, maybe this will help sell properties, or people are going to be able to keep their property if they could just throw an ADU on the back there and rent it out, essentially. Kind of like a little PadSplit, but just one room or one little property. Have you heard anything of that in the last week since that bill got passed on your Florida clients?
No, not yet. But that's been happening in Phoenix, and Los Angeles also legalized ADUs.
And California has done that previously, right? I know you guys are in California.
Any of the major cities where there's an affordable housing issue, that's usually what happens. I have a host here who develops shipping containers for a living. He's got 1 in his property in his yard right now, and he's planning to do like 5 or 6 of them.
In one yard?
In 1 yard, he's got a big yard, yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, that's a great way to kind of further densify the property and just make a cash flow on your property.
Yeah, and I think that kind of like gives you guys assurance or proof of concept of like, hey, people are trying to do that. Even the government is trying to help people do this essentially with an additional unit or additional just unit on the back there.
Exactly.
So I thought that was interesting to see. The other thing with Airbnb, now that I'm kind of seeing this more as like a investor / more similarity to Airbnb, some other recent things that I saw them come out with on the platform this past week was, in addition to obviously being able to rent a property, room, whatever, you can also book directly in their different services, like at-home services, like private chef. You can have massages at the house, like all different types of stuff. When Airbnb or other of the co-living softwares come out with that, how much are you guys paying attention to that, thinking of adding that, adjusting strategy, etc.?
Yeah. I mean, we're still early in the game. We want to focus probably on providing those affordable housing units out there. There's a wave that we're seeing where we're getting a lot of the higher Airbnb hosts start to convert over to PadSplit. We're in affordable housing, and people need housing year round long, so there's no seasonality that Airbnb goes through. Since people are staying on average a lot longer, the operational costs and management effort, they're kept to a minimum compared to Airbnb. And just with the type of guests, we get a lot of feedback to where our members are really grateful and thankful that they're able to be able to afford such a nice quality living situation. Because all of our properties, I'd say 95% of them are renovated and they look brand new essentially on the inside.
Do you guys set standards for that? For like what the property should look like, the room size, what the furniture should be, like cleaning service, like that's all like you say, hey, landlord, this is what you must do in order to be included on our platform?
Exactly. So we have the blueprint for the renovations. So if the host decides to use their own general contractor, that's not an issue. We would just share the guides with them for them to share with their GCs. And then we'll give them also a guide on how to furnish the property. So yeah, we do have standards, and we try to keep the quality.
So
it's pretty high, I would say.
What if how do I say, like, if I just have a home? I don't know. Like, let's say I got my home and it's 4 beds or 5 beds, whatever, right? It's my old family home, and I'm like, dude, we're moving. I want to PadSplit this, but I don't want to do the renovations. Are you not going to let me PadSplit it?
No, I mean, we only recommend that because usually that will get you more money. But depending on your situation, some property owners, they own the property outright and they're okay with just putting 3 rooms, 4 rooms on the platform. No problem there. Be mindful though, because usually we've done this long enough to where we know that the common area is an area of conflict in the co-living operations. So we tell investors, if you're going to leave it, don't do a traditional couch and TV setup there. Do like a more common style or high chairs and high tables so they can utilize the common areas but not overstay. I mean, most cases, like if you're going to do PadSplit, invest the $5,000 or so to turn that living area into a room. That's going to pay itself off in half a year. This is a long-term play for a lot of people. You can buy and hold, appreciate, and now even cash flow with your single family in today's interest rates.
So is there a way to get around like the rule where bedrooms don't have to have a window?
No, we require that.
Okay.
It's not a window. It has to be an external egress. Door would work, but that's not ideal because you'll kind of feel like you're living in a cave. So if you do that door option, have a door with a window in it. Yeah, we have those standards as well.
Okay. Interesting. That's kind of unique that you've realized like you have to get rid of the common space. Like they need to be in their bedrooms or making food or in the bathroom or out of the house.
I mean, I get feedback all the time from the hosts that go into their properties and they're able to walk into the common areas at any time without notice. They say when they do visit their properties, they're very surprised at how quiet and clean it is in most cases. People are busy. They're just doing their own thing. They might have 2 jobs or studying and going to work at the same time.
Yeah.
Usually they're not, befriending their neighbors. It's kind of like a motel, hotel style setup in a single family property. So once people kind of, heat up or cook a quick meal, they go shower, and they hang out in their rooms. Nobody's really hanging out in the common areas and socializing too much.
So you said no. You said no drugs, but then you said you're in Colorado where marijuana is legal. I mean, so because it's legal there, are they allowed to do that, or would that also get them fined or kicked out?
Inside the house, no. But inside the house, no. But I mean, I don't know, however many feet away from the house, in the yard or something, it's legal statewide. So that should.
So no matter what, not in the house.
Yeah, no matter what.
Can I You gonna approve my mobile home to be on PadSplit?
Yeah, you can. I'm glad you asked, because I was gonna ask you what your strategy is. You're just doing long-term rentals on your mobile home, huh? Yeah.
No.
Which city?
So basically Little Rock in Georgia, south of Atlanta. So I'm in the Little Rock market and kind of rural Georgia.
Right.
Imagine it doesn't work as much in rural areas, right? I mean, it's probably more of a metro thing.
Yeah, because we're in San Antonio right now, and that market is struggling occupancy-wise because the rental rates are pretty low already. So the numbers just don't math. Right now in San Antonio, we're trying to improve that with our marketing and just get the word out there. But in your situation, you would be in emerging markets, so you would have to find your own leads, which might or might not be worth your time.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. Like to me, I consider PadSplit like the transgender of houses. Like it identifies as a multifamily, but it's not, and it needs surgery to assume that identity.
Wow.
No matter what, everybody knows it's still not a multifamily, it's still just a house. And then when it comes and it finally realizes its real identity is just a house, it has to undo the surgery it had just to be accepted. But the entire neighborhood still knows that it went through transgender reassignment, and it'll never be the same ever again. And that's why I'm not a fan of it. Like, no matter what. So you're sitting here telling me, okay, yeah, go put 7 bedrooms in, and I can go put 7 bedrooms in. But if I ever want to sell that effing house, I have to un-7 bedroom and I have to turn it back into a house. So I have construction costs on the way in, and then I have construction costs on the way out.
Yeah, potentially. But I've seen, I mean, it's a long-term play, and that hasn't happened yet in Arizona.
You haven't gone full cycle yet where someone's selling.
I mean, I've seen people sell it. They sell it as a turnkey PadSplit.
They're selling it as a turnkey PadSplit.
Yes. So we had one of our earliest hosts. He's a billionaire guy in New York. He had a portfolio of 150 or so PadSplits. He successfully sold 95% of them off to other investors.
Now, I've seen people with Airbnbs. Like, so I track a couple of Airbnb markets. I was looking for vacation homes in. Me and John talk about it all the time up on lakes and stuff. And I always see Airbnb struggling to sell it as an Airbnb. And then you see the pricing come down and they wind up selling it just regular single family pricing, because the realtors are always trying to advertise like it generates this much income and track that thing for months. And then eventually you see those price way lower because maybe like a lake house, dude. Like I don't care that you were generating $100,000 in Airbnb revenue. That's not my thing. And I'm also not going to pay you a premium for it. But I get it. Like if there are people who are buying, and that was, if I bet you, and so I guess the important thing to say is that's today's Airbnb market. What I guarantee, if you were selling an Airbnb in 21 or 2020, there was people were scooping that up and just like, cool, it's a turnkey Airbnb, right? Like I'll just buy this thing and keep renting it. But then when the Airbnb market really softened, that's when you started to see everyone flooding their stuff on the market, and then like people were just
exactly. Yeah, we've been in the game since 2018, but we're still early Airbnb days in terms of mainstream reach. There's a couple of companies that are starting to get into the game of purchasing turnkey PadSplits. Mogul Club and Fractional. They allow fractional real estate investment opportunities for the smaller investors with $500. They'll pull in 100 of those and buy a property.
There's that website that does that. What is that?
Well, there was one where it was tokenized, but I forget the one where it's like the fractional rental. I know what you're talking about, BP, but I'm not recalling the name.
Literally
cool. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's cool for some people. I don't really know anything about it, but I do like the idea of giving lower net worth investors an opportunity to get into more lucrative. You know what I mean? Like you don't need 50 or 100 grand. Maybe you got $5,000 or something like, and you get into something like that. That's pretty cool. Fractional. I like the fractional ownership stuff. It's a great. I don't think it's good long term per se, but like I think it's a great dipping your feet in entry of like figuring out how investments work, seeing the profit, save up more money, and then getting into something else. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. In the last, Arizona's only existed as a PadSplit market for the last 2.5 years. I've already seen probably 5 to 10 turnkey PadSplits sell. There's a lot of investors that want to kind of skip the time it takes to acquire a property, to renovate it, to furnish it, and to wait for it to fill up. They want to buy a property that's already operating and cash flowing, and this allows them to do that.
How do the
Yeah,
neighbors?
like a very, very different like turnkey sell than an Airbnb turn. I mean, you're in the affordable housing industry, and with the rates that you were talking about earlier, like I remember turnkey just single family rentals.
Those were hot for a while.
Yeah, when I first got into real estate, like working with real estate investors, that was like the thing. But then the market dipped a little bit, and it was hard to promote those. I think there's still some people out there doing that kind of stuff.
It's just harder and harder to afford them, though, is the thing.
Yeah.
So those were hot pre-COVID when you could still buy turnkey rentals, $100,000 or less, and you're buying these things, renting them out at $1,500 or whatever. Now, I mean, you're not getting a house that cheap. Yeah.
So you're seeing turnkey, like if they're buying turnkey pad splits, which I would imagine they're selling that at a price that is way higher than the market value of the single family home.
I'm seeing a little bit of both. Some are just selling them as the single family property without the premium on the furniture and renovation, and the fact that it's a cash flowing business. People sell for various reasons. But there's, I see it. I just introduced 3 people to sellers this week, so people want to get in.
Yeah, I could see that. I would find it hard, like, as if I'm a family, like, I don't know, unless like I'm some Mormon family with like 8 kids or something, like, it's like 7 hallway leading to all. There's nowhere to like get together as a family. Like, I can see that being. I see it harder for families in any houses than buying like your regular 4-bedroom and sticking a kid in a bunk bed, right? Put 2 of your kids in one room in a bunk bed. I feel like that's an easier sell than to sell them a pad split. But as an investor standpoint, I get it. Like, I think you guys really would excel, and I'm sure you're going to tell me you already do it, but just like the student housing play, like if I had pad splits anywhere near a college and I wanted to sell, I bet you those things will get gobbled up by investors and then turning them into just the student housing style stuff. Because that market, I mean, seeing what my daughter pays and like how that goes and how fast they go, you have to move in Auburn on a room. If you don't move, they're gone and even hits. So like right now, you either have a place in Auburn or you're pretty much in the hood, way, way, way off campus. That's it. So those types of pad split, student housing, room share stuff, those things are so desirable in that market.
Yeah. I get that question all the time of like, do people or are students your main renter? I mean, even in Tempe here, the pad splits aren't populated by students. Maybe, I don't know, maybe because of
Is there a college in Tempe? What's the name?
ASU.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, big one. I don't know, like 70,000 students there. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a major one. But even then, like those rooms aren't rented by students. I think I don't know.
They want a common area, right? Because they want a place to come hang out with their friends, right?
Well, not necessarily. My daughter says they do exactly what Ellis just said. They don't hang out in the like. So I went when I picked her up. They had this nice, like all the girls decorated, nice couch. Everything he said not to do. Couch, TV, nightstand, all that. And like my daughter, she cooks her food and goes in her room.
There you go.
They don't,
but she doesn't like her roommates. If she had found 4 roommates that she does like, it would be a different situation, correct?
But I'm saying like none of the pad split people probably like their roommates, and so I say it's like the same thing, right? Like they're not hanging out. Now this year when she's picking her roommates, like I'm sure there's going to be some hanging out, but I mean, her behavior is identical to what Ellis described.
Yeah, but I think for college students, it's like this progression. Like maybe the first year they would utilize a pad split, but then they're like, I'm done with this. I found a core group of friends. My, next 3 or whatever years I'm going to be here, I'd prefer to be in an apartment with my friends.
So that's where it's a little different. Yeah. That's a good question. So Ellis, like I guess you already answered it earlier where you said they'd be better off the platform. But like if I'm in a pad split, right, and me and Carlos are there and we're like, shit, dude, like we dig each other. And we're like, yeah, we got this cool dude, John. Can we recommend John to you and then be like, hey, we want John to get this room? Like, is that possible?
Yeah, there's actually a member referral program that we have.
Like a referral and a placement type of thing, where specifically like I want John in this PadSplit.
It'll be tough because that's all subject to availability and how long somebody stays in that room. It'll be hard to manage. But I mean, in my previous co-living days, these were in the Bay Area and completely different product where it was kind of luxury co-living, nice furniture, all household supplies included, community events included. And these were in San Francisco and Oakland where the rents were crazy high. So the only people that could afford it were the transient tech workers that were moving into the city. So they did exactly that. So they lived in the co-living property for however long, befriended some of their roommates, and then from there they moved out into traditional, more traditional style apartment.
It's a great stepping stone.
It is. So we help transitionary people, we help essential workers, we help people that have gone through some sort of divorce or life change or moving to a certain city. So it could be transitionary, but also if they're happy with their living situation, with the roommates, with the amount that they're paying, and they're close to their job, they're probably going to stay long term.
Do you guys have like a wait list feature? Like if I'm looking for a PadSplit and I don't have a car, so I need a place near where I work, would I be on a wait list for that kind of stuff?
On that specific house, like can I be in a queue on a house?
Yeah, that's a great idea. We don't have that, but we do.
There you go, dude.
Yeah,
go pitch that, bro.
Yeah, we have
it as your own. Be like, hey man, I came up with this idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that one because we do have a host feedback channel in our Slack, so I'll throw it there. We don't have that, but we do have a coming soon feature for listings that are created prior to actually going live. And we'll create a wait list there, and once the property goes live, we'll send out emails and text reminders that the property's ready to book.
How long do you think on average a room stays on the marketplace?
In Arizona, we're seeing some good numbers. It's about a month for us to fill a property.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's fast.
Well, I mean, it takes me. I can fill a property in a month, but like I have a higher or a longer, I'll say like time frame to turn that unit because again, like the cleaning, any repairs.
Yeah,
because they're staying longer, so usually there's more damage done to the property. And I don't mean damage. I'm not talking about the ones that someone trashes, but even still, patching holes, fixing blinds, new appliances, fresh paint, whatever it is. It's gonna. By the time I take over that unit and fix it, a couple weeks, and then I got to get my photos, the cleaning, and then I list it, and then maybe another month. So I'm more to like the 45-day type of turn time to maybe 60 if I had a lot. So 30 is pretty solid. Like if I don't have any repairs to do, like I have one right now in my park, she left it immaculate. I got nothing to do but like 2 blinds. We had it live within a week of her leaving, and we already have applicants for it, and they'll probably move in by the next month. So I'm around 30 days for that. But that's like a rare, like a, what do you call it? Like a rarity that someone leaves it that perfect.
Yeah, no, you nailed it though. This PadSplit is basically multifamily and single family. So once you do have a vacancy, somebody moves out, and we do fill it in about a week on average. You still have the other 6-7 rooms that are producing income. So you're hedged against a non-paying person or vacancy as well.
The only thing I got to touch up is that room. So where I have to touch up an entire house or whatever, mobile. Like if I'm a PadSplit owner, I just got to go in and patch holes in 110 square foot bedroom, which really is like a 24-hour, like a day type of job. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. I mean, even then we tell them they can't really hang anything. So
really?
Yeah. So most of the time it's a quick room clean, which is $50.
Wow.
And that's covered.
They already have a person coming around and cleaning the common areas, right? I think you said that once a month or something.
Oh, did he say that? I didn't know that. Okay, I must have messed up.
Yeah, so the common areas are cleaned once a month. Some hosts are starting to do twice a month. They'll just do the common areas, so the kitchen, hallways, bathrooms, so they won't touch the rooms. But for the host, they're able to set a move-in fee for a specific room. Usually this is designed to cover the room cleaning costs once they do move out. So most of the time it's that, and get somebody in to clean for an hour and the room's ready to go.
So I want to kind of deviate and kind of talk about something I saw. It was a while ago. I was on, I don't know, some mastermind call, you know what I mean? Like some webinar, whatever it was. And they were going over new development for PadSplit where somebody had laid out a floor plan for what they were doing, was like educating on like, I don't know if they weren't calling it PadSplit, but it was just like room share, right? Yeah. And I mean, there's people out there building, and it made sense, right? Like I may not be a huge fan of PadSplit and Training House, whatever, but like what they were building, now they're building it specifically to work for PadSplit, right? You come in, it's a hallway full of rooms leading down, and then there's this big communal kitchen and a communal eating space pretty much, in a sitting area, not like a living room. It wasn't like, as I recall, it wasn't like this whole-on living room. It was basically like a square that splits between this communal eating, sitting, and cooking area, but everything else the way they built it, and it was all along like one back wall, was pretty much room, common space. And they're building these rectangular, it's like a, almost like, it's not like shaped like a house either. It's a longer, more narrow style home. And I was like, man, now that's very interesting, because it's more like an indoor style motel type of thing, right? Like it's just the rooms.
Yeah, I've seen co-living in all forms. So in the Bay Area, when I was working with Common, I helped lease out a 44 bedroom, 9-unit complex that was made for co-living in West Oakland. It was just a set of 9 regular apartments, either 3 or 4 bedrooms each. And we just rent my room there. In Star City, the other company I worked for, we had a 66-unit co-living building in downtown Oakland. We had the 4th and 5th floors of a 5-story building. The first 3 floors was a functioning high school. And on each floor, 33 rooms each. Kind of locker room style bathrooms. Some of the bedrooms had private bathrooms, 1 kitchen, 1 common area on each floor. In Seattle, there was a purpose-built 71-unit co-living complex. Every couple floors had a full kitchen and common area. Otherwise, it was just all rooms. So co-living, yeah.
How many bathrooms do you have to have for that?
I was about to ask that. Yeah.
Math to work out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what it was, but it was something that was somewhat reasonable.
It's 2 to 4, I think, wasn't it? Like 1 bathroom for every 3 people.
Oh, I mean,
like gym style bathrooms.
Yeah, like big group showers. You remember back in the day in school, there'd be like those little pillars with like all the nozzles around the pillar, and you're just like.
No, that downtown Oakland building had that set up with the bathroom.
Okay.
Actually.
Could you like
dorms, like college dorms?
Yeah.
You're just fucking in there. You gotta have a rule, like you gotta wear your bathing suit or whatever. Like you're in there in a communal bucket shower with strangers. Oh, dude, that'd be wild. But I was thinking where I was going with the bathrooms, John, I was like, if I'm building this, it's probably not feasible in a reno, but like if I'm building this, it would behoove me to put private bathrooms. I'd probably get more.
We glossed over this. You said the kind of average rental rate was $850 per room, but you said there's a different room if they have or different price if they have a private bathroom. What's that?
Yeah, well, how much more would I get if I got a private bathroom?
25 to 30% premium, somewhere around that.
Wow. Okay.
So another like 150.
Yeah, somewhere around that. And yeah, I think the future of co-living is a single family property with 1-to-1 ratios of like all private bathrooms.
Yeah, I think so too, because I also think it takes out a lot of your liability too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like if I got like the world is becoming.
What do you mean by liability? Do you mean like the roommates getting angry at each other, or are you talking about something else?
Sexual assaulting, like peeping toms, different things. I mean, there's criminals in there, whether you know what I mean. Like there's bad apples, no matter what you're doing, right? And for me, it's like if I'm a female or whatever, even a dude, but mostly female. It's like style living and I'm sharing a bathroom with a bunch of dudes or whatever. Like, I guess liability is more there if we're all sharing one bathroom. But if I had inside my bedroom, no access to anything, to me, that seems safer. Not only a landlord, but also as the member, what you call members, right? Like I'd be like, I feel safer in that scenario than me walking down the hallway in my towel or having to go to a forget to lock it or whatever it is. like that's a safer play.
How do you guys navigate that now? Do you have to be aware of that kind of stuff?
I haven't heard a single issue regarding bathrooms so far. Yeah,
Cool.
which is pretty surprising. Yeah, I mean, generally, I help investors kind of strategize on how to reduce conflict, and that's kind of the secret sauce to operating a co-living property, to minimize problems as much as you can. So having a good bedroom to bathroom ratio helps minimize conflict around the bathroom. Furnishing the rooms themselves with mini fridges helps reduce conflict in the kitchen main fridge space. In the common areas, furnishing it with not a couch and a TV, and then also sticking full-size mirrors in the rooms helps decongest the bathrooms quite a bit. Doubling up on the washer and dryer will help conflict with the shared.
What about bringing back the 1970s style makeups? You know, little desk with the mirror, makeup stand. You know what I'm talking about? My parents used to have one in their
What was that called? That had a special name.
There's a name for it. What is it?
Vanity.
Vanity. Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
It's like this little vanity area. My mom would do her makeup. It was separate. It was like in the bedroom. Can I put cameras in my common areas? Is that a thing, or is that not? Yeah. Is that frowned upon?
You can, as long as you disclose it in the listing description itself. So really, just the common area.
But do you find that people do like? So I'm thinking hallways, right? Hallways, kitchen, common sitting area. Yeah. Like, if they're not hidden, I'm saying like they're just mounted on the wall. Everyone knows. Do you see people do that, or are they not putting camera? I know it may be allowed, but do you see it happening?
I see it happening. Yeah, the members that don't like that probably are the ones that are the troublemakers. Anyways, the female members probably appreciate it, definitely. Yeah. Exterior cameras are okay too. So yeah, as long as you disclose it in the listing description, that's fine.
It's funny you say that. So I put cameras in my one park. There was when we took it over. There was a lot of crime, a lot of drug use, different stuff going on. We'll just say, and so when I put the cameras in, right, and I installed them myself. And my cameras, and I tell people looking at your house, they're looking at the roads, the entrances, you know what I mean? Like we want to know if someone comes in and out, can we track the cars and all that stuff to help police if there's any situation. As soon as I put them in, I think I within a day, I lost a 10. They just left. You know, I had complaints, and over the next few months, we lost more people, but the crime went down. But the people that liked it, obviously, are still there. But yeah, you're right. Like the ones who did not like it, miraculously, I lost a few tenants, but also somehow the complaints about nighttime random people driving in and out of our community went down. And I was like, I wonder why that is. And it's like, so yeah, it definitely does. It does help. I think my tranny house comments. I don't know if he's coming back. Oh, he's back. He's back.
There we go.
I was just saying, like, I think you're right. It's the people who commit the crime. I remember when Elon Musk when people were complaining about Elon having access with the government's funds and stuff, and he was relating it to PayPal. He's like, the people, when we would crack down and shut down PayPal accounts for, like, you know, illicit or what we assumed was bad acting, he goes, the people that would complain the most were usually the ones doing the bad acting, and the ones who were just upset and worked through the problem, they were just, you know, it was a mistake. But you could always tell the ones who were really doing bad stuff because they created the most noise about the protocols they were putting in place. And I think the same thing would apply with the cameras. Because why wouldn't you feel safe? Why wouldn't you be like, yeah, cool. It's not like I tell my tenants, I run a business. I am not sitting at my desk the cameras and like watching what Unity, like I only reference them if you call me for some reason to check the cameras. Like, I don't think landlords are like, let me just watch these people walk in and out of their bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. It's for the safety of everybody. And if if they don't like it, I mean, they've got some issues or I don't know. Yeah, it's just for the betterment of everybody living there.
I think so. I think that's
so. What would you say then? Like with the experience that you have now, what elicits a perfect PadSplit, right? Like what would that property look like? What would it have in it? What would it like? How would it encourage the best people to rent there for the longevity of their rental?
Great question. Yeah, I mean, ideally 1-to-1 bedroom to bathroom ratio, but that's very capital intensive. If you can get away with 2 to maybe 2.5 bedrooms to 1 bathroom, that should be plenty. The property should be close to public transit. Only about half of our members have cars, so they definitely utilize public transit. Properties close to work centers work well too, because there's a need for affordable housing in that area. Non-HOA, obviously. Usually we're looking in a Class C neighborhood. These are kind of working class neighborhoods. You can go maybe a little bit higher, but the higher up you go, the more likely your neighbors won't like this model, and they might complain to the city. You might end up having some issues.
But your member thing takes that away.
Technically, but still, it's just a pain in the butt to go through. Yeah. And then as far as the property size goes, 2,000 square feet and up works well with the number of bedrooms you can achieve and the cash flow numbers. I just thought about that new build comment that you made earlier. So I'm working with a multifamily owner operator. He builds duplexes, 2-story duplexes, 3-2 with a living area in each, smaller footprint, maybe like 1,000, 1,100 square feet. But he just went live with one duplex 2 days ago. He has a booking already, thankfully. But he's going to be going live with a second one with another partner. And then there's a 24-unit complex of these duplexes where he's going to do 96 bedrooms. And this will be incredible, because I think it might be the biggest multifamily PadSplit we have in the company, for sure, in Arizona. But this might open up the door for multifamily PadSplits, which operationally is a lot easier from the owner side, because everything is centralized, versus having multiple PadSplits in different parts of the city that can become operationally heavy. So yeah, multifamily PadSplits could be a thing. We'll see.
Yeah.
So
I could see that being a thing.
So like tracking, so with like Airbnb, right? And obviously there's a life cycle to everything, especially in like with tech that you have. A lot of stuff, like everyone was on Airbnb, and then you see a lot of these people as they want, instead of booking, like even when I book Airbnbs, and John, maybe you see it too, they also have their own website to book directly on there to avoid Airbnb fees and stuff like that. And I've seen, like, I follow one guy who does PadSplit, and he got off PadSplit and does it himself, and he wants to obviously do all the legwork. And maybe that's because as they grow, like these bigger investors, they build their own in-house management, leasing. Like, what's the benefit for me to stay with you versus doing it myself?
Yeah.
What happened to Airbnb and all that? Why not just create my own advertising, my own website? And I already got management team, right? Like, why would I need you? What's the benefit to having PadSplit in my back pocket?
Sure. I probably know the guy that you're talking about. Is he based in Arizona?
He's in Florida.
We systematize it. So, I mean, for the onesie, twosie investors who have 1 or 2 properties, they can probably manage it on their own, no problem. The biggest lift that we see is with filling the rooms and refilling the rooms. We're very, very good at getting these rooms filled. So
it's got to be intensive for a regular person to do that.
Yeah, because I mean, you're posting on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. You have to first educate them on what co-living is and kind of set them up. And once they get approved, you'll run through the background checks, send out their agreements, do collections for each of the people living there. So that's just the acquisition side. Once the property goes live, there's the aspect of managing it and collecting rent and having some sort of system in place to make that process streamlined. But for the bigger investors that don't have the time or don't want to manage, we take most of that off of their plate, and this allows them to focus on acquiring and renovating and getting more, getting their scaling ability increased. And we see it all the time. There's always local competitors that try to do what we do. They maybe deplatform or do it on their own. Eventually they come back because it's just the systems that we've created.
I can imagine, like, probably, I don't know if I would have a problem with the leasing. I don't know if I'd have a problem with the advertising because I'm built to do that.
Yeah.
But I could see the payment collection. Like, I don't know. I mean, it would be difficult to track. Let's just say I got a few of them, right? So many people paying on all these different days. Like, it just doing what I do and knowing it takes a lot to make sure you know, like, to when someone's late, right? Like, my software doesn't work that way where it's like, okay, John pays on the 5th of every month. Carlos is paying weekly. Ellis is paying 2 times these days, and then this person's late by the. That's a lot for if your my software is meant for long term, so that would be a very difficult thing for me to be applying late fees to I'd have to do it all manually because my software is not automatic like that.
Yeah.
That structure.
Yeah, your head will spin. You know, if you have 2 properties with 7 rooms each, you're managing 14 people, and the turnover that happens and refilling the rooms. There's a lot that goes on with co-living.
14 people paying on 14 different days, multiple times a month.
Yeah.
All right. So let's I think we exhausted the PadSplit the company. I wanted to kind of spin this around to you and talk about like your goals and like, so I mean, let's talk about your real estate goals and like, okay, so you work for PadSplit, right? Like
I do.
Do you want to cook it? You know,
yes.
What's your thoughts? Or do you own other investments that are not PadSplit?
No. So I was kind of late to the game. I spent some time in Ukraine in the Peace Corps and then spent some time abroad. So I started my career late. So we bought our first property, a primary one, in 2020 of October. And we're ready to go for our first or second, or maybe first 2 investment properties in the near future. So we're actively looking. I'm going to be partnering with one of my PadSplit hosts, actually. He's got 4 properties up and running. He's got the 5th going live soon and the 6th also under renovation. He's very experienced. He's done multifamily, group homes. He owns dental offices, law offices. So he's at the point where he kind of likes the mentoring angle. So I'm going to be a 50-50 funding partner with him. And he's like, you can just be passive in this. I'll take care of the rest. We'll split everything. I'm like, say no more. I'm in. So we're looking right now. This year is the goal. So I have to eat what I kind of preach, what you mentioned, Brandon, but I want to get as many of these up and running as I can because he's buying right off of the MLS. That's kind of his strategy, traditional. He's getting properties around 400K or so. He's got his own crew, so renovation costs are kept to a minimum. He turned a 3-2, a 4-2 or a 4-3, I think, into an 8-6 for 35 grand. So he's got some really good crews.
He's obvious. He has
to
have crews to do it.
Yeah. So his numbers pencil very well. At 8-9 bedrooms, once it's full, and he's self-managing, he's netting 0.5K a month on a property. So he's just setting this up like clockwork, and he loves that the management aspect of it too. Coming from group homes, he likes to kind of talk to each of his members, build a relationship with them, and kind of help them, give them financial literacy advice and like plot their next steps after PadSplit. So he's into that aspect of things. So I'm just going with it for now and seeing where it takes me because this is just being on the front lines of real estate through PadSplit has opened up my eyes to all the different strategies out there. There's a lot, so I'm pretty decently connected now, and people do offer to partner with me on PadSplit. So I'm gonna take it slow. And
so you're getting into it.
I am. I'm thankful because it's been really eye-opening, and yeah, it's time that I definitely practice what I preach. So it's gonna happen.
Yeah, helps you just talk shop too. There is, I'm sure you're familiar. You may be familiar with Pace Morby. He's in your state or your area as well. It's co-living in general is becoming really popular here in South Florida, just because between HOA, insurance, property costs, a traditional single-family rental isn't really penciling out as well for people. So that's becoming really popular. The Sub-2 meetup in Broward, that's once a month. The guy speaking on the 28th is actually a co-living. His name's Chad. I've met him a couple times. I can't recall his last name top of mind.
Yes, he loves. I think it is. He's a
Ellis knows everybody.
He used to live in Medellin, and now he goes back and forth between here and Medellin. I think he might have property in Medellin too. But yeah, he's speaking on the 28th. It's funny that you know him, but I've had conversation with him, and the numbers that he talks are crazy. He's a PadSplit guy, or
I think he had a couple of properties that he deplatformed for whatever reason, but he's pushing just co-living generally.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny that you know him. Yeah, he's speaking on the 28th, so I'll be here. Be there.
Yeah, there's a co-living conference that's happening in June in Texas. Yeah, it's really cool to see because when I was doing co-living starting in 2017, I thought it was super niche. But now it's actually becoming mainstream, and I mean, there's talks.
Well, I think you're right though. It was niche because it was affordable to do a regular rental or buy a home. It's not anymore.
Yeah, I mean, co-living outside of the U.S. is pretty normal.
Yeah.
I mean, at least between families firstly, and then with strangers. But I mean, in India, I know they have like towers of like 700 co-living units with transportation services, food services, everything baked into where they live, which is pretty fascinating. But yeah, co-living's been around since, I mean, even in the U.S. since boarding homes were a thing, in the past, and it's becoming a major thing now in the mainstream eyes because of the affordability issues. So that's not going away anytime soon.
I was thinking when you were talking about that guy who likes to help people, transition after PadSplit. I was like, man, with the space of gurus and everybody selling a course, I was like, man, maybe there's like another revenue aspect PadSplit or the investor does where they're selling financial literacy courses. Every member comes in and you're advertising to them with your email or whatever it is, and you're putting brochures inside the thing like, hey, you could partner essentially with like a credit person, help build your credit. Hey, mortgage person, help buy your own home, help pay off your debt, help, get a Robinhood account or make your first investments or whatever, like how to essentially get out of this place and like get to that next step. It's almost like you could sell into the demographic of PadSplit rent members and kind of make ancillary revenue selling courses in literacy training.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely
Ramsey. I could see Dave Ramsey being all up in there.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, needless to say, that's lacking in the education system. So, yeah, it's got to come up.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, so other than PadSplit, do your and multifamily, are all your investors pretty much coming from that realm, or do you see them coming from another? Are they giving up a niche to come into this? Do you see them coming from Airbnb? Do you see them coming from regular single family? Yeah. If I was an investor looking at trying to find another way to make money, what avatar look like?
Yeah, we get them all. Long-term landlords that are, some of them are doing fine. So they bought probably a long time ago. They're maybe doing some 2+ long-term. When they see co-living, that just opens up their eyes because the numbers from the get-go.
I mean, the numbers are
crazy. The numbers are crazy.
Yeah, and then with Airbnb, I mean, here in Arizona, we're pretty saturated. And then there's a seasonality of summertime. And we're seeing a little bit of a transition here in Arizona as well. With the midterm rental people, that's becoming pretty popular. So there's a lot of competition there too with, insurance companies or traveling nurses. We're starting to see some midterm people come over. There's a lot of sub-2 people here in Arizona too because of the baseball D effect.
So the whole member thing. So where I'm at, so I have a property in Colorado where they banned Airbnb, because of affordability and Airbnb, they just need houses for regular people. And obviously, and PadSplit doesn't really stop affordability. It actually helps the affordability, unlike Airbnb's. Airbnb makes places less affordable, I think, for being honest. Do you see cities giving a kickback, like neighbors maybe being upset that you've turned this into this like tranny house, this like boarding home style, whatever? Do you see like that becoming an issue? I know you have that strategy, right, with the members, but do you think there's a threat from the local government?
It's happened a few times, actually. I think the city of Morrow is in part of Metro Atlanta. They essentially raided a PadSplit, boarded up the windows, changed out all the locks, dehoused 8 people in a short period of time. PadSplit filed a restraining order against Morrow, and it was granted.
What?
So we restored the house and tried to get everybody back. And so that was kind of one of the outlier major issues that we dealt with. But cities like Denver, for example, they abolished the maximum number of unrelated occupants allowed in a single family property, thus opening up the door for co-living.
She's helping.
Yes, yeah. Seattle's done that as well. I think Arkansas, I think you have some properties there, did that as well recently, and I believe Dallas too. So, I mean, that's at some point we want to, and it's going to be a need to work hand in hand with the local governments because they're not effectively helping solve the affordability issue, and we're doing it with zero taxpayer dollars, and we're doing it at a very rapid pace too.
Yeah, I mean, so Airbnbs to me are like, they make a place less affordable, but they also, to be a good Airbnb, it's got to be clean and the lawn's got to be, they make a neighborhood look good, right? So like neighbors may be upset that there's people coming and going or there's a party at night or whatever, but you can't really complain that this house is dragging down property values.
Right.
Do you think like neighbors are okay with these houses? Do you get complaints from neighbors? How are the houses looking? I mean, obviously I know like you want them to look good, but are there complaints from neighbors about bringing down values per se?
I mean, from the structure itself, the investors are going in and redoing them. So in that sense, they're increasing the value. They might not like the fact that, so it depends on the property, right? So it's got to be the right property with the ample parking situation. So a pad split in a cul-de-sac with, one parking
little driveway. Yeah,
exactly. Like those won't work at all. And we tell investors don't do that. But if it's that corner lot property on that cul-de-sac where it has, 2 in the driveway, 2 in the front, and then that whole side street where you can park without being in front of neighbors' properties, that's ideal.
We didn't talk about parking, did we? Are people redoing driveways?
I've seen some, but not as common as I thought it would be. So it's got to be the right property from the get-go, and that's part of the property evaluation process that I go through with investors. So I shoot down properties sometimes because I don't want them to be unsuccessful on the platform.
I didn't think about that because but I'm thinking like if you picture like on a street, right, you have the driveway on the side.
Yeah.
And maybe like those little yards in the front, nothing crazy, like a typical neighborhood. I was thinking people would maybe like just concrete that one, and then you sidewalk going up the front door. Maybe you just the driveway to fit 2 more cars or something. Because where are you fitting all of the? I mean, in Florida, John. I mean, Carlos lives in an apartment or condo, but like John, in neighborhoods, I mean, everyone parks in their driveway per se, like street parking, and that's just for your regular family of like 2 or 3 cars. Having 7 or 8 cars, I don't know how
in the yard.
Yeah, like, and we don't let that happen in our parks. Like, that's a problem because that look does bring down the vibe of a neighborhood. Having like cars parked at angles in the front yard and all that stuff, like it's a.
Well, you did say it, like usually only half of your tenants have cars, right?
That's true.
Exactly. Yeah. So only about half have cars. But even then, like for a pad split, we don't like garage parking and driveway parking because with the nature of co-living, people are going to move in and out. There's going to be lack of communication. There's going to be access issues.
So you convert the garage.
Well, some do.
I mean, we do that in Florida. I mean, that's just not even a pad split thing. Like everyone's like, I need more square footage. No one uses their garage down here. So garages get converted. So maybe that's where they're putting the other bedrooms and stuff.
Potentially. Yeah. I've seen some garage.
400 square foot garage. What can I do with that? 4 bedrooms?
No. No, because you'll have to do hallways and all that too.
So
I've seen a 2-car garage. I've seen a 3-bedroom conversion. I've seen a 2-bedroom conversion with a full shared bathroom, and 2 sets of washer dryers as well.
Because you gotta have a place for your washers and dryers. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I was also thinking like that garage would be easier because then it's easier to get your plumbing over to the garage because a lot of times you can get to your main that way. You know what I mean? Like most of your stuff is running by the garage anyway, so you could easily plumb in a bathroom over there versus on the other side of the house.
Yeah.
Depending on, because we have slabs down here, so that's more difficult. That was my other question, and I don't know what construction is like out there, but like crawl space is probably better, easier to work on plumbing, or does it not? No one gives a shit. They're just jackhammering the foundation to add plumbing, or.
Ooh, that's not my forte. I don't know.
Not your forte? Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious about that because like, as I'm looking for an ideal property, I mean, like how I'm adding that extra bathroom or two.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the process. So you have to have a good eye for the renovation side of things to cut down the renovation costs to make the numbers work. Yeah.
So flippers might make the best pad splitters, because they already got construction versus maybe a guy buying turnkey rentals who just buys them and rents them. So maybe there's a guy who, if you're out there listening and maybe you got a bunch of rentals, but you've never run crews, maintenance, you've never worked around city construction, hiring people, even though you got a huge portfolio and rental experience, maybe not as good for you versus the flipper who's been remodeling homes for 5-10 years and can handle renovating and building these pad split houses. Maybe that's more of like the easier path or path of least resistant to being successful. Would you say like that's a better avatar?
Yeah, having crews where you can kind of control the cost, that goes a long way, and just having the eye of where everything can go, because sometimes you're moving the entrances to the bathrooms to different places in the home, maybe utilizing a closet and kind of going through there. So there's that aspect of things to kind of maximize the space.
You really got to change that layout, don't you? Yeah, that makes sense.
Potentially, yeah. Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was going to say this may have came up, but I'm curious of like for investors that are buying a property, and I don't know how different it may or may not be, but investors that have a property and are looking to do like a refinance, like say they get a property, like a traditional single family, they'd be able to get a unit stabilized, refinance out, do whatever they want with their money, get more properties, et cetera, et cetera. How have investors been able to do that with PadSplit, like when they go to a bank for refinance?
Yeah. So I mean, the investor I told you, the host I told you that I'm going to be partnering with, he might be a little bit of an outlier, but he's got a direct relationship with his bank, and he's done a ton of business with them in the last few decades or so. For his first PadSplit, he bought this at $410, put in $70K for the renovation. He got appraised at $585. I don't know, he like sweet talked his appraiser or something. He's going to pull out every single dollar that he put into that property. He's in the middle of refinancing it right now.
How long did he have it running and producing income before he's going to refinance?
About a year, maybe.
A year.
Okay.
I need about a year. You need to show the income.
But with his guys, I think he said it's 6 months only because of the relationship he has. But that's why he's able to buy right off of the MLS, because the numbers look
okay.
But the bank isn't. I guess my question. Well, part of my question.
The bank's not penalizing.
The bank isn't seeing any red flags or isn't changing their.
Depends on the bank.
I'm sure, yeah. But for the cases that you've seen, they're not like the bank doesn't really care essentially that they're making money off of pads.
They might not understand it.
12-month, rental agreement.
A lot of banks will turn you down if they don't understand the asset. Like even for mobile home parks, like even if my shit is the sweetest park in the world, like I'll get turned down just because they're like, no, we don't invest in that asset class. We don't understand it. Like doesn't matter if it's A class or making money or I'm successful or experienced. They'll just be like, we don't do. You have to shop around to find, somebody that knows that asset class or at least willing to know it and get into it.
Right. Yeah, so that's the other part of that vendor network that we have in each of our core markets. We have PadSplit friendly lenders as well. We can.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So good business to get in.
Yeah. I'm linking up with a lender here locally that I met at that mastermind. He's trying to be the guy that unlocks PadSplit lending for Arizona and then maybe nationwide if it goes well. Because as far as I know, PadSplit Airbnb lending, that is pretty new too, right? That's only a thing that's happened in the last few years. If I'm not mistaken. Because AirDNA is pretty new, and that's the one piece that's missing for co-living lending is co-living DNA, so to speak. Exactly. So I mean, we have that all internally. So if the lender uses our data and runs with it and is okay with that as comps, then I don't see why not. I don't see why this can't be a thing.
I was thinking, so let's say I got, and this is different. So a lot of the reasons why PadSplit in my mind is taken off is, again, from the member perspective, I can't afford a house, right? I can't afford an apartment. But from the landlord perspective, I make more money. I can get 6,000 versus 2,000, and houses are so expensive. If houses were where they were in 2017, I probably wouldn't do PadSplit, right? Like there would be no need, there'd be no market, but there is. So I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, let's take my mobile home park. Okay. And I got 60 units in there but they're between 2 and 3 bedroom, and they're between, 1,000 and 1,500 square feet. If I wasn't trying to chop it up and I wasn't trying to put 7 rooms in, let's say I turn a 2 bed, 2 bath into a 4-2, I had a couple bedrooms to it. I mean, could I do something like that where I turn my whole park? Like, do you think there's a market for that where somebody says, hey, listen, because I'm in a lower income area, where people can't really afford these apartments or $1,200 rents or whatever. And let's say I would get $900 or $1,000 a month on my long-term rental. Do you think there's a benefit for me to turn my entire park of 3 2s and 2 2s into, because I'm doing renos on them anyway. Like I was thinking of my 1 unit. I could tranny that up and throw, like, I was thinking where the windows are. I was like, I could turn that living room into 2 more bedrooms easily and still have a big open space. Yeah. And I would have like a 6'3". My plumbing's easy because it's a crawl space. I could easily just run plumbing underneath it.
Right. Yeah, it just goes back to all the fundamentals. So we just want to make sure the parking. What's the parking
situation? That's the thing with mobile home parks is it's unlimited parking because each home has its own driveway, yard, and I own the entire. So the difference between me and a house is I own everything. I own the roads, I own the yards, I own the neighbors. So I could add driveways. I don't need to go to the city and say, hey, I'm adding concrete. I just hey, I'm going to concrete or asphalt this whole thing in front of this home. And right now, my one in Georgia, there's 2 parking spots per home, but I have a whole other side of the unit. I could easily add an asphalt and put 2 more cars there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Forgive my ignorance. Do you own the land?
In parks, you own the land. So, I have excess space. I could add parking lots if I wanted, right? And I don't know if PadSplit's thought of it, but I was like, would mobile home parks be this ideal situation of where you could really configure it?
Yeah. Right. I mean, we do. I mean, here in Arizona, we have a couple of maybe one, maybe 2 manufactured homes that are on PadSplit right now. We allow that if the owner owns the land. So I mean that would apply to mobile home.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The mobile homes, people in my park with their own mobiles, they don't own the land, right? They rent the land for me, so they couldn't do it. Exactly. But I own the entire park and the majority of the homes, and it's so what would I get? So if I have 2-2 and I could turn it into a 3 or a 4-2, what am I getting? You think? Do you think I'd be able to get $500-600 a room?
Let's see what city.
This is in Cordell. It's on 75.
Cordell.
So I'm renting houses. Basically, the whole house will rent for 800, 900. Maybe my 4-2s rent for 1,000, 1050, 1,100.
This is in Oklahoma,
Georgia.
No.
Georgia. Let me see, Cordell, Georgia.
I think it depends on the location. You probably aren't going to get the 850 in that situation, Brandon, because 850 is an affordability crisis.
You're right, but if I get 500 times 4, I'm getting 2,000 versus 1,100, and I'm already paying. So here, Ellis, I already pay in majority of parks. Not majority, but a lot of parks are already paying master utilities. So I already pay the water, the sewer. I'm already paying for the trash and the roads. I got dumpsters in the community. So a lot of this, I'm already paying for.
Right. Yeah, I literally Googled Cordell rooms for rent. I'm on Seartrue. Didn't know it's but I'm seeing one in Cordell, 500 for that room. On roomies.com, there's one in about 14 miles from Cordell, 600 for a room.
So it's not obviously not 850, but at the same point. And and I have construction costs nailed, right? As a mobile home park owner, you pretty much have to be good at construction because you're turning units.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm spending 15, 20K to redo entire homes, floors, roofs, ACs. Wow. All new bathrooms, kitchen cabinets. You have to source all the materials. So it's I'm running full crews. And it's do I just throw up Like another, like I was thinking my one unit, I literally throw up a wall, like just boom, and just add 2 bedrooms in that front area, each having a window, and there you go. I just added 2 rooms, $500 a room times 6. I mean, dude, I'm making 3 G's versus 1,100.
I was gonna say the better way would be to reverse engineer this. So you're getting 1,100 only
on my 4.2. So if let's just use my 3.2s as an example that are 1,218 square feet. That's a very common home. I'm getting about, I'll just even it out and say 900 plus utilities. I get like 990 with utilities, but $900 rent.
Yeah, simple math.
So even if I didn't,
Ellis is doing some sales game right now.
So even if I didn't add rooms, 300 times 5, I'm getting 1,500. I'm making more, but maybe it's not worth the construction cost. But if I could add another bedroom to it, now I'm easily talking 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. You know, I mean that $500-600 times the 4. You know, making over G's.
Yeah, you'd have. Yeah, it's just all about the underwriting. So you'd have to obviously factor in our fees.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
The increased operating costs. I mean, it sounds like you are paying for utilities already, but cleaning you would have to pay as well. Yeah, so I mean, it just has the pencil. I turn away properties all the time.
Interesting. How much are your fees?
What else? We take the first 10 days of rent from each person in full. And then starting on the 11th day of everybody's occupancy, we take 8%. Blended is probably around 15%.
You take the first 10 days regardless of how long they stay?
Yeah, so that's why you want to really provide them a good experience so they stay longer. You know, sometimes we have people who stay, you know, less than 10 days even, or like a little bit over 10 days. That is not a great experience for the host because they feel like they got screwed, understandably. So I've gotten a lot of feedback recently to where we're kind of trying to figure something out internally.
What if I got a kid? Can I rent one room with me and my kid?
Technically, you can, depending on if you designate that room as allowing multiple occupants. If they're under 18, you can't charge extra for that room. If they're over 18, like it's a couple or maybe a parent and an older adult kid, you can charge an extra maximum of 100 per week. For that
extra $400 a month just because they're bringing grandma along or something. Because in these lower income things, they usually have single moms or they're looking for just something for them and their kid. That's interesting though. Not that I'm going to do it. I was just curious how the numbers would work.
Yeah, but from the renter side, like in Arizona, that would come out to probably $1,200-1,300. At that point, probably a studio is more attractive to them if they have, you know, the initial capital to.
But again, that's why I'm saying, like in a lot of these markets, credit and down payment. Like a lot of people just don't have it, man. They just don't. Even if you could afford to rent my mobile home on its own, because I would deny you credit and I would deny you your, you know, making that $2,000 upfront payment. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people I turn down that are looking for that in my mobile home park. You know, bad credit, bad payment history per se, unable.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because I've heard of multifamily operators who are kind of adding PadSplit as a strategy for some of their units to capture those that don't qualify for the traditional rentals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're diversifying and just, you know, casting a wider net to get more people to actually stick.
That's interesting. I mean, yeah, like would I do that? Like it's like, you know, and plus it'd be a test run too. It's like, could it be? Because you don't want to, like, I'm not going to go in and start remodeling 60 units and putting bedrooms up and all that, and then it totally flops and I don't have the market for it. You know what I mean? Like, do you guys, we talk data, do you guys track in each of your markets, like room? I mean, I'm assuming you do. You know room rates, you know demand and all that. When you go into a market, how do you do that?
Yeah, the market launcher, general manager, I don't know who it is, they do pretty comprehensive research on the market itself. Try to assess the demand for affordable housing firstly. Like if you just type in the city affordable housing unit shortage, you'll see a very large number, likely if it's a major metro. In Arizona, it's 70,000 units, which is crazy. So they'll assess that, and then once they go in, they'll kind of look at the room rates based off of Craigslist, all the Facebook Marketplace, all the rental sites, and then we also want to establish anchor clients. So we're trying to assess demand from the supply side as well. So usually we'll kind of do some in-person events, see what the interest is like, and then from there probably try to establish some relationships with investment associations, and just to see if it's a viable market. Most major cities are viable markets.
I would say,
that's pretty obvious.
Yeah. So, but we want to scale responsibility, responsibly as a company. So we just ventured into Los Angeles. That's the first.
Oh, that's going to be a good market. Got to be a good market.
Yeah, good market definitely in terms of demand, but that's, I think, the first tenant-friendly state that we've embarked into, which might present some issues down the line. I don't know what they've crafted, but it could really be detrimental to your business if you have one bad PadSplit member, and you have to kind of evict them, because in states where it's tenant-friendly, that can take months at a time.
I guess you're right. Oh, dude, that's
and
I know guys in the mobile home park space who they like, even in New York, like I won't touch a park up in New York, right? Like I stay in the Southeast where it's very landlord friendly, and even then it's hard, like because like a lot of people don't understand, it's not just the state laws; it comes down to the judge himself. Like, what kind of day is that judge had to hear the sob story and grant, like, hey, this person's got some extra time? And it happened to me in Arkansas, which is a very landlord-friendly state. The judge we got sided with her and gave her that extra money. She never paid. I mean, we eventually got her out, but it was a time suck for me. I couldn't imagine doing that, but there's guys up in New York, circling back, that they excel in that market in handling and navigating the eviction in the, what do you call it, the rent caps or whatever you call it, rent limits. And they buy exclusively there because they have a lawyer on their team. They excel at those things where somebody like me, I would absolutely fail up there. But they've mastered that market and those legalities, I guess, navigating them.
Yeah, it's funny. We're dealing with humans at the end of the day. Which is a funny thing. Yeah. I mean, ideally, we work hand in hand eventually with the cities to where they maybe ask the host to get a permit or something, very much like Airbnb. It's undeniable we're doing a good thing. We're housing a ton of people.
You are. In the end, you're providing a need. All jokes aside about the house itself, you know what I mean? But the members need something, dude. And sadly, the weekly hotel stuff, that stuff's not as prevalent as it used to be. Those things aren't as common as they used to be in the 90s and stuff.
Yeah, it's pricey too, because if you break it down per daily rate, like a PadSplit room at $850 a month is $28 a day, which is nothing. I mean, it's something, but it's comparatively something.
If you think about it, like my next affordable housing that I tell everyone is RV stays. Like we have a park where we allow RVs in, and our nightly is between, depending on what size, lot, all that, $20 to $40. So you bring in a $5,000 RV and you can stay in my park for $25, $20, $30. It just depends on the size of it. And where are you going to beat that, right? Like, and you pick it up and go. Like, I think RVs are also a phenomenal affordable housing strategy. You can buy them cheaply on Facebook, stay cheaply somewhere, and you can move if you don't like it. You know what I mean? Just get up and go.
Just gotta have the money to get an RV.
Definitely.
But again, that's true. But like, if you think about the pricing of some of these, and a lot of the people that he deals with or I deal with, they all rely on their tax return. That $3,000, $5,000 tax refund, that buys you, surprisingly, it buys you an RV if they do it right. I mean, again, financial literacy, right? Like, you got to plan for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we do an ending question, but before that, I want to give you the opportunity to kind of let people know where to go, how to find you, connect with you. Like, what is it if I'm an investor interested in learning more about PadSplit? What if I think I have a property that could be a PadSplit in one of those areas, and even some more information about the what did you call it? Not the core markets, the emerging markets. If I've got a property there.
Yeah. Just shoot me an email, ellis@padsplit.com. Is there going to be like Is this going to be on YouTube?
Yeah. This will be on YouTube.
And maybe drop you guys my booking link too, so they can book time with me directly. And then for emerging markets, I would refer them over to my colleague Zach, who runs that program.
Yeah, if you want to drop your booking link in the chat, I'll put it up as a QR code right now, so people can just scan it with their phone.
Do we have people that are watching live?
There's a few people watching live right now.
Nice.
But the QR code will show up on YouTube as well.
Yeah. Perfect. That's perfect.
And they don't have to be in Arizona to book a call with you, right?
No, definitely not. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know how we can do this. I maybe send you a map of the core markets, because I help with all the core markets, and then all the emerging markets I send over to Zach. But it's cool. I'll talk to anybody at this point, just to kind of get the word out and educate people on the model firstly. Yeah.
All right, and you guys want to start explaining the image, and I'll get it up in a minute, unless you have more you wanted to talk about, Ellis?
No, I think, Ellis, do you have anything else?
No, this has been awesome. This has tested my endurance a little bit, but I'm happy to talk about that.
I know. I was really thinking I need to get one of those like bathroom things next to my desk for these long like
catheter.
No, yeah, you ever see those things on internet? It's like next to your bed for like the old people who can't control their bladder. It's like a little pee cup thing, and it's like you pee into it. It's like shaped like a duck, and like it seals it. Yeah, I'm like, I should get one of those. That'd be awkward. You guys just see me here, and all of a sudden my facial looks pretty like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Yeah, don't worry about it. All right. Yeah. So anyway, we got this question, and I think every guy at some point in their life has really thought about what type of animals you could beat in a fight, what type of battles you could overcome. John, you putting it up?
Getting there.
So listen, you're in a Coliseum. All right, you're in a Coliseum, and we have to assume that you are able to communicate with them, and if not, like verbally communicate, everybody on this board understands that they're either on your team or against your team. You get to pick two. Again, they understand that if you pick them, they need to battle the other 7. So you can have 50 American eagles, 10 crocodiles, 3 grizzly bears, 7 bison, 1 sniper, which we have made up the rule that this guy is on the ground with you. He is not up in the stands. He is on the ground, back to back with you.
Unlimited ammo.
Unlimited ammo. Yeah, unlimited, bro. And you know what? For the sake of this, it's either a rifle, sniper rifle, whatever you want it to be. No automatic weapons. Biden has banned those. 15 North American gray wolves, 10,000 New York City sewer rats, 5 silverback gorillas, and 4 African lion. Who's on your team, and then why?
I was wondering. I was struggling to see what the 10,000 was with the rats.
And they're New York. We're calling them New York City sewer rats. So that way you get the.
They're huge. They're probably
they're fucking beefy, bro.
10,000 is a big number.
And again, you're like, what is it? The Pied Piper over here. Like, you control those 10,000. You got your flute. You're just singing the song.
They know the mission. They understand the mission.
They know the mission.
Oh, wow. They're smart. Okay. I mean, based off of the sheer number, I'm thinking rats, but also the gorillas, like with what's going on right now, 100 people might lose to a single gorilla. So that's worth at least 500 humans. Ooh.
It is funny, isn't it, that trend has picked up the last month or so. Everybody's doing the 100 men versus 1 gorilla type.
You guys gotta push this one, because this one's way more.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, I might do the rats, because I was just watching Lord of the Rings recently, and with all those orcs and those masses of orcs, they can do some.
10,000 rats is a lot, bro. And we're assuming that they're out to kill. Okay, they're not just meandering. They know the mission. The gorillas know. The lions. Everyone knows the mission here.
Wait, sorry. These rats are going to defend me, and then the rest are going to try to.
You get another group, so you get the rats and one other. If your final answer is the rat, you get 2 different groups to defend
fighting for you.
Oh.
It's a what do you call it? Like whoever's last man standing type thing. So.
Okay, in that case, I'll do the rats and the eagles. I got
the fuck are you doing with the eagles, bro?
Man, eagles
no, they're not.
That's a good
No,
choice.
they're not.
They
What
are.
are 50
All they
eagles
need to do
doing?
is get all they need to get is people's eyes. They're used.
Yeah.
everything
The
else
rats are gonna distract them. Like there's a ton of rats, and then just the
Who's taking out the fucking bears?
the rats? Give them 100.
Okay,
100 rats.
while the rats are getting the bears, who's defending you? Okay, while that's happening, these eagles are
10,000
flying.
rats.
I get it.
10,000.
10,000 rats. But these eagles, unless
Yeah.
you think they're blinding every single animal here, you have 10 crocodiles, 3 grizzly bears, 4 lions, and 15 wolves trying to eat you.
I'd say 100 rats for each of these animals is plenty. And then, and then you have 1 eagle for each of these animals too to finish the job.
Man, I feel like I got to chat GPT.
Damn, that's a good.
I think you
answer.
gotta decrease the rat number to like 1,000 or like 5,000.
No, I think.
Hey, well, you're finding the efficient point of leverage. Spoken like a true pad split guy. He has to understand units, rooms, bathroom per person.
There you go.
No.
You should try to make this viral. This is way better than just.
I agree, with the exception of the Eagles. I mean, I'm just not for the Eagles. I used to be the guy who always picked the sniper, but once we put him on the ground with us, changed my position. I always placed him up in the stands because I felt like we had an advantage. But like, we had somebody on who educated. I don't know. He's from Montana. He educated us on the size and ferocity of the gray wolves, and like. That's who because I used to pick the gorillas. I was always about the gorillas, but then we talked about rats. So like now I'm always leaning towards the rats and the wolves because I feel like the wolves they hunt in pairs. So if you put 5 wolves together, I mean, 5 taken out, you know what I mean? That's 3 attacks they could do simultaneously while the rats are. I don't know what I'm doing personally. Like as a human, I don't know who I'm killing. Like who am I killing?
You're just standing there. Somebody's defending you.
Yeah, like what am I doing? I think
you're just in the.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think we need to up this and give the human a weapon. I think we need to have a non-automatic style weapon. You can have like a spear, a knife, a machete. I need a weapon. I need something other than my bare hands because what am I doing? Do I have a rope to lasso the buffalo? I don't know. I need something. I can't just stand there in the fetal position or curl up on the ground. I need a sword. I need to be like Gladiator. I'm like Maximus. I need something.
Need a spear.
That's fun.
All right.
I just got a booking. I wonder if it's from somebody that's
there.
watching.
You go. Could be.
Very nice. For you guys, for all the listeners out there, if this booking came from you guys, any onboards of property, we're happy to pay you a referral fee.
I'll text you on that.
If that person, listen, how about this? That'd be awesome. Deal with Carlos with that. But if that person books this, we want them on the show as well. You know, if they end up putting a property on, let them know whoever that is. You're now a guest. You can be if you want. I'm not going to force you. This is not like a kidnapping. But come on the show. We'd love to talk about your experience being a PadSplit host. Love to talk about it. We, getting the property, acquiring the property. We can go through it from the investor host point of view too. I think that'd be a cool epi. So please refer someone to us. That would be great. We would love referrals.
Love it. It took 2 hours, but your internet's stable.
I'm hardwired in, bro. I just want everyone to know I am hardwired. I dug a trench for my house.
See, now your internet's failing because you still can restart your router if you're hardwired in.
Yeah.
And with that, thanks for watching, everybody. Scan the QR code, chat with Ellis. It was great learning about PadSplit. Definitely, when you hear about it, you have some preconceived notions of what it's like. You have definitely changed my opinion of its value to the.
You have not swayed me. But I still think it's a tranny house, but you've definitely at least educated me to where I think it is very lucrative on both sides. I think there's a huge community benefit, and I could see why investors do it. You still on the product itself, I'm still like, what am I doing with this house? But I got you. You've definitely swayed me a little.
No, my job is to plant the seed, and then you're going to come too if you come too. So I'm happy to have helped.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Lock and load.
Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.